Welcome to Creative Brews. I'm Kristen, and this is your weekly dose of creativity, where photography, design, and life come together. So, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk about what's brewing. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm going to hop right on into today's episode. I honestly don't really have like a topic, I guess you could say. I mean, I guess I do, but I don't. I'm kind of just going to sit down and maybe I like to call it word vomit. That might sound gross to you, but that's basically what we're going to do today. Just take it easy. I'm not really feeling that great today, but wanted to get out an episode anyway. So, yes, I believe I've mentioned here and there in previous episodes that I've received, I guess, some comments. I put a question mark on that just because a lot of it is just like, I like what you're doing. I'm a new mom. I'm trying to, figure it out myself. And I want to do something too, but they're not really quite sure. And then a lot of, how do you come up with your topics? How do you find inspiration and stuff like that? So if you are new here, hey, hello, I'm Kristen. Welcome to Creative Brews. I hope you stick around. And definitely be sure to subscribe and do all the things so that way you don't miss an episode. Just because on this podcast, we talk a lot about a lot of different things. So in the intro, I always say where I believe it's something like life, design, and photography, basically. Probably said it backwards, but that's okay. So yeah, those are pretty broad subjects. So I've got some questions written down per se. Got about a handful of them. So I figured what I would do today is just kind of sit down, like I said, take it easy, word vomit. It's kind of the reason why I didn't set up my camera for this one. Just, like I said, taking it easy. Sometimes you have to take it easy. So, yeah, where do you find inspiration when your creative energy feels stuck or drained? Usually my inspiration either comes from past things that I've thought about, or when I get those, oh, I gotta write this down moments. So usually that happens for me when I step away. So I do a lot of, I know to some people, they probably think, oh, well, you post a lot, you're all the time on your phone, you're all the time connected and stuff like that. That is actually a facade. So to the person who, maybe came across one of my social media accounts, it would look like I'm always on social media, but newsflash, I'm not. So, like I said, it comes from various different avenues. I could be in the shower, and have an idea that comes to me. And that's the reason why I always say, keep some kind of journal, whether it's digital or physical. Digital's easy because I'm not always connected, but I do at least have my phone a good proportion of the day. However, I mentally, have my windows of time where I'm on my phone, I'll do some things, or I'll check in with friends, family, stuff like that. And then other times, other windows of time, I make it a point to disconnect from my phone. So, yes, I still have my phone, but I have windows of time where I'm working, is what I call it, and where I'm disconnected. So, yes. A lot of times that could look like, you're in the shower, or maybe, you're pumping gas. I'm trying to think of everyday things. Maybe you're driving in the car. For me, it also comes from nature walks. Being in nature really helps me to not only reset mentally or just kind of like, let things go or think of new inspiration and stuff like that. So, some kind of movement sometimes helps me to get things unstuck, like to get that creative energy unstuck. Hopefully, that all makes sense. Sometimes, I may have mentioned this also in a previous episode. A lot of times, you can't force your creativity. So if you're not feeling it that day, don't create anything. Maybe just take some time, go on a walk, be in nature in some sort of way. Maybe do some yoga, some meditation, a shower, go to the pool, whatever it is. And just kind of somehow take your brain and put it in like pause mode, if that makes any sense. So, like, if you love being in nature, then go find you a really nice spot in a park, put down a little blanket and do some yoga, or try to ground yourself again. Try to remind yourself of the senses. What are you smelling, hearing, seeing, touching, stuff like that. Recently I took my son to the park and we did sort of a picnic, you could say. And I took him to the same spot that I took him, I think the first time I took him there, he was about 3 or 4 months, probably 4 months, something like that. And, we kind of did a little bit of tummy time and stuff like that. We didn't do much the first time. The second time, which was this past time, we did some tummy time. And, I kind of reminded myself of what I just said. Like, be present. Stay present. Stop thinking about your past. Stop thinking about the future. You can't control those things. And you can sort of control your present to an extent, So I guess that would be my answer. Kind of pause, take some time, don't force anything, let things go, and a lot of times your spark comes back. Let's see here. I think that probably would answer quite a few of these. So here's another one. If someone wants to rebrand or start fresh, what's the very first step you recommend? Well, okay, so lately, and this kind of ties into my website refresh, is what I'll call it. I've recently refreshed a little bit of my website. Some parts of it I took away, and some parts I, added to and stuff like that. So now, whenever you go to my website, I kind of wanted it to be like just a scrollable kind of form of my website. And then if you want more information, you can go through the tabs. So basically, when you land on my website, I wanted all of it to be right there, bird's eye view, nothing too crazy, very simple. I labeled things. Sometimes simple is best. And so when I did all that, or as I was doing all that, I came up with, like I said, I was redoing my services. So now it's bloom, flourish, and rooted. So I was like, that really kind of coincides with like the spiritual realm, because lately I've really been leaning into spirituality and stuff like that. What really brought me to that is just doing what felt right. Like, not just, oh, well, this feels right, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Obviously, if something feels bad, a lot of times you don't do it, but sometimes you talk yourself into doing whatever it is, right? So, what I mean is whatever feels right in your soul, in your mind, body, all of it together, the whole package. There's no questioning. There's no, oh, well, should I do this? Oh, this doesn't feel right. Like, that's what I mean. So I would say the first step is to reflect on either that or, just reflect on you and your business, whatever it may be. Or, yeah, I mean, I guess that would just be that, like, to just take some time and reflect. So before you change anything, before you change your logo, your colors, or visuals, or anything like that, ask yourself what feels out of alignment. Who am I trying to attract? What client am I trying to attract? Stuff like that. It's taken me a little bit of time to kind of get in that mindset, like with my business, because in the very beginning, I was like, oh, well, now that it's up, I'm going to have to market and all this other stuff. And let me tell you, I actually haven't done any marketing yet. I've been on the fence about it, which is why I haven't done it yet. So I think there's a few other things that I really want to do to my website. And then I might do some kind of marketing. I don't know. I really don't know if I'm going to do any marketing. That's still a question. But yeah, like, what do you want people to feel when they experience your brand? What do you want? What energy are you trying to show up as? You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I did. Once my website was up and once, I did the work to get the structure up and stuff like that, then I went in and refined everything. So, like I said, my landing page is different, and I do plan on going through my website and stuff like that to kind of show, like, some of the changes and stuff. So, and kind of explain, because my services now are a subscription based. So whether that be monthly or every 3 months, 6 months, whatever, it's now set up for that, which is nice. But the whole point is that I have taken the time to step away, like I said in the first, to answer the first question, step away and really ask yourself those questions to figure out, well, what kind of energy am I trying to embody and bring across? What do I want my client to feel whenever they come to my website or whenever they speak to me or whatever it is when they meet me? Because a lot of times, whether people can read energy good or not, your energy is the first impression that you will ever make on a client, whoever, whatever, whether you're trying to do a new business, whatever it is. Anyways, once you get clear on all of those things, the design and the decisions become a lot easier and become more intentional. So that's the reason why I decided to take my brand and mix it in with the spiritual side of things. Because, number one, the color palette that I chose is, some colors that I really like anyway. So it definitely is me, for sure. I have water today. I thought about doing hot tea. I might do some of that later. My allergies. That's what's happening here. I kind of forgot my train of thought. I think what I was saying was that, and if you hear birds, that's not edited in, by the way. I have the back door open because it's cool out, and my cat is just loving it. Anyway, so the colors that I chose are very much me. It's like the dusty pink color that I chose, I really like. And then honestly, I don't really know what made me choose like a neutral color to go with it. Like, it's like a brownish kind of color. But I like it, because it goes together. And I feel like when you land on my page, see, this is where you have to put yourself in your potential client's shoes, right? So you kind of have to flip the seat real quick. You know what I mean? Like, go from business owner to, okay, if I was a client looking and I landed on this page, and maybe you're looking for content creator or maybe our manager, maybe you're looking for, marketing, someone to do your marketing. I want them to feel the ease and feel like, this person knows what they're talking about. Not only like, I want them to feel the confidence, but also feel calm at the same time. So that way they will take the first step. Wow. In their business. I'm so sorry. I think that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, so I chose the dusty pink color and a neutral to go with it, so that way you feel like you can take a breath of fresh air. You're in good hands, and stuff like that. So, more about being at ease, but also, you're being taken care of. So, I think that would answer that one. Let's see here. Okay, so Here's one. I'm kind of going through these as we're here at the moment. So what's one design or branding mistake you see entrepreneurs make over and over, and how can they avoid it? I think it would I think I've basically answered that one. So I would say the biggest mistake, whether you're a new business owner or a new entrepreneur or not a new entrepreneur, and I'm just going to say entrepreneur because that kind of encases the whole business owner, or, whether you're freelancing, whatever it is. I would say trying to appeal to everybody would be one of the biggest mistakes, because a lot of times you end up overdoing it. You end up burning out. You end up watering yourself down. You kind of end up looking confused. You kind of bring in confused energy instead of confident energy, So I would say, instead of trying to appeal to everybody, you need to do basically what I have been saying this whole time, which is sit down, take a step back, sit down, get out a pen and paper if you have to. That's the reason why sometimes I do, I have a journal, I get a pen, I open my little journal, and I really sit down and dive deep into what you want your brand voice. What's the tone of voice you want to bring across? What are the colors? What are the vibes or aesthetics? And then, once you kind of develop this little roadmap here, really take it serious enough. And if you have to schedule it I also have a planner, and I do stick to that. It's a traditional physical planner. I plan out my weeks. Now, do I stay strictly to what I've planned? No. But it's there for if I need it, So that, because I basically know mentally what my weeks consist of, but there's just something about taking a pen to paper and really sitting down with yourself and saying, you know what? This is what we're doing, for the month, for the week, for the day, if you daily plan. I don't do that because that just sounds stressful. So what I do is every Sunday, and I still do this. I started this back when I started my business, which I'm very new at this. I think everybody knows that. I started doing my own business full time in April of this past year, or of this year, excuse me. Wow. Living in the future, huh? So, I've been developing it. I've been changing it. Like I said, I've been doing what feels right to my soul, and from within. And, I've had one client so far, which I think is pretty good. So I've really been taking my time with developing, and changing some things and keeping the website going and stuff like that. But yeah, I got clear with all of that, the tone of voice, the colors, the vibes, the aesthetics, and just that whole thing in a nutshell. Now, I do plan on putting up a blog post soon, I'll probably put up 2 blog posts just because some things have changed on my website, and the 2 blog posts that I have up there now really no longer make sense, so probably archive those and put up some new ones. Anyways, I'll go into more detail, maybe some steps of ways that you can really develop your business. And honestly, this would coincide with whether you're a business owner or, maybe you're a logo designer, whatever it is, a photographer. You can sit and really develop your craft, is what I call it. So, yeah, just know that it's not perfection. People don't connect with perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. So let's just go ahead and get that through your brain. Take the perfectionism. Believe me, I have it. I have some, there's a little part of my brain that's like, oh my God, that's not perfect. I can't put that out in the world. Not like that. So this website has really tested me. But also, I don't know, all of it in a nutshell makes sense because motherhood has tested me, to slow down, take everything in bits. You can't do everything all at one time. Even if you really think you can, you can't. But people connect to clarity and authenticity, okay? So they connect to basically whatever energy you're bringing to the table. You know what I mean? So if you're bringing confused energy, you're most likely not going to be booking that client, or you know what I mean? So it kind of all makes sense. Like, again, you're not a salesperson, and if you are, that's great. I'm not a salesperson, so I'm not trying to sell myself to clients. I'm not trying to sit across from the table and talk you into why you need XYZ service. And I'm not going to do that. So, if you don't have the true confidence within yourself when you present yourself, then you're probably not going to be booking that client. So I think it's funny because when you do show up with confidence within yourself and within your brand and within what you have to offer, sometimes it doesn't really matter what you say, because that's a lot of the sales part anyway, quote unquote. So when you arrive with confidence and, let's say you think you're the complete package, you know what I mean? And I'm talking seriously, like within your soul, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like, well, I have these services and I'm confident that, this company could benefit from XYZ service. That's not what I'm saying. On the surface level, if you have confidence on surface level only, it's not going to work. You have to have confidence from within. Within your mind, body, and soul, like the whole package, I think you get what I'm saying. So, yes. And then I think the only thing that could wrap this up with a nice little bow is something that I like to call, or say a lot of, is consistency. You have to stay consistent. Okay? Without that, there is no platform. You know what I mean? So you got to think about it as like building a new home. You got the foundation, which I think personally is consistency. So you really have to feel this within your mind, body, and soul. That's the reason why I decided to take my brand and mix in a little bit of spirituality. It's not I'll praise Jesus every sentence. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful to anybody, but what I'm trying to say is that it's not over the top with spirituality and stuff like that. Because a lot of what I've roped into my website and my brand, well, my brand mainly, a lot of people would look at it and say, oh, well, some people would look at it and know, oh, well, I really like the spirituality uh, aspect that you are mixing into your brand. Other people might look at it and be like, oh, that's a really nice website. I really like the rooted, the bloom, and the flourish. Like, that's cute. But, I mean, I think you kind of would get the spirituality proportion of it. But again, it really just depends on whoever's viewing it their perception of reality and where they're at on their journey. So, I don't know. It just all made sense, and I think it's funny because I made this podcast first and called it Creative Brews. And, a little fun play on words. And then my website and my business, obviously, is KBCreativeNC. So, I don't know, I kind of feel like everything and the stuff that I've been creating, the content that I've been creating on Instagram, kind of all coincide with each other, Like, I don't know, I think it's just pretty cool that it's kind of all just extensions of one another. So, in the whole grand scheme of things, they kind of all go together. So, yeah. So, it's a balance. I believe that's all the questions that I'm going to talk about today. Like I said, I didn't get a lot of questions, but hopefully we've been talking. Well, I've been talking. We've been talking. I've been talking for a little over 30 minutes, so I want to touch on a few photography things. So I feel like this episode is a mix of everything, which I think is really cool. I think I've done that maybe once or so, maybe a few times in the past, for a few of the episodes. So I wanted to talk about, flip it over to the photography side for a second. So I don't know if you all are privy to this or know about it, but it seems to me in the photography world, some big things are going on, which I think are amazing. Like, film photography has resurfaced back. I know to some people are like, wow. And then other people are like, I never stopped doing film photography. But I don't know. I think it's really cool that analog photography is coming back. So there is a thing called digital film photography, which I'm just like, huh? That's crazy. So it literally is what it sounds like. So you should definitely look it up. I don't know if you've heard of the paper digital cameras, but it's like I don't know, it's like film camera mixed with Polaroid camera, something like that. So you should definitely look that up. It's been all over my Instagram. Like, and that's something else that I try to do. I try not to scroll Instagram or Facebook. Mostly Instagram because my TikTok is hit or miss. I don't really get on there that much anymore, but I still try to post. My Facebook, I just get on there, kind of scroll a minute, see what everybody's up to. So if your post doesn't pop up within the first 5 minutes, if that, it's not that I looked at your post and said, I'm not going to like that. Let me just scroll past. No, I don't do that. It's because I probably have not seen it. So, but yeah, there's all kinds of digital film cameras these days. It's been cool to just look at. Anyways, the next thing I want to talk about is something that I think is amazing. Have to get my cat down. She was on her little printer there. Anyways, real quick, it's something called anti-gravity. It's a drone, and it has, I don't know if you all are familiar with this, the Insta360 action camera is awesome. It's amazing. That's a separate camera than what I'm talking about right now. But so what I'll say first to break it up so that way it doesn't get confusing is the Insta360 action camera is also amazing. The reason why I think the anti-gravity drone is amazing is because, and I wish they would send me one, sponsor this little channel over here, or this, whatever. I'm just being funny. But I'm just talking about these things because it's new technology. Brand new technology in the photography world. If you haven't checked it out, you really should. It sounds like I'm being sponsored. I'm not. I wish. In that case, this would be a completely different episode. And you'd probably see a video of me using it. But I don't have one, sadly. Like I said, I wish I did. But it's an 8K drone. And what makes it amazing is that they have, and this is how I heard about it, they have morphed the Insta360 camera, the action camera, into this drone. So, I don't know, this changes the game, I think. But more than anything, I haven't really looked into it. I'm on their website right now while we're talking. I haven't looked into it, but all I have to say is I'm sure it has. So I was going to buy a Maverick or a DJI, or I think that's the same thing. Anyways, I was going to buy a drone once, and it has on it where you can do tracking. So if you ever wondered how someone's driving and also operating their drone at the same time, it's because they turn the tracking on their vehicle. So that way the camera will track them. So if it has that, this right here, like, you guys really need to look it up. This is going to change the game. That's all I have to say. My cat is really testing me, but anyways, I think that's all I have time for today. I just kind of wanted to touch on a few different things, talk about a few different topics, and finally answer some questions that I have been meaning to answer and stuff like that. Again, if you're new here, or if you've been, listening or watching, if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section. You can send me a DM on Instagram. All my socials and all my links are going to be in the show notes below and the description below. So yeah, again, even though I don't really feel good today, I'm excited to continue to be doing all of this. It's been amazing, and I try to share that excitement, when someone's watching or listening. So, yeah. Again, if this resonated with you, or if you found this helpful, please share it. It definitely does help. And yeah, we gotta share the knowledge. Anyways, I will talk to you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode. So yeah, have a great week. Bye.